What's up, everyone? Today is a very special day because we have a guest appearance. A software engineer from Google is coming on to talk about his experiences and what it's like working there. And we're gonna get to it in a minute, but first I have to give a huge thank you to JetBrains Academy for sponsoring the video. They just released their Kotlin Basics track, a completely free introduction for people getting into software development. It's fully sponsored by JetBrains, the company that developed Kotlin. So if you're gonna learn it, where else would you wanna learn it than the company that made Kotlin? It comes with 10 interactive projects of different proficiency levels, over 90 topics, and over 300 coding challenges. Their team of Kotlin experts who designed the language have reviewed all the material to make sure everything you're getting is of high quality. Already experienced in Kotlin? Check out the Kotlin developer track for more advanced projects. Like I mentioned, the Kotlin Basics track is completely free, but if you want to check out the other tracks, go ahead and use this link down below to get your first month free. And this is super relevant for this video because Google officially announced Kotlin as their official language for Android development. All right, and with that, let's get into the interview. What's up, everyone? Sam here. Today we have a very special guest. I think it's the first time we've had anyone on this channel, so I'm very excited. So John, how's it going?
Good. Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'll let you introduce yourself here in a second. I guess we could start by, John is a software engineer at Google. We actually went to grad school together. I think it was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was your last year, your second and final year in grad school, and it was my first year. And we were taking a class together. I think it was like knowledge management or something. It was an interesting class, but I think we got grouped up on a project, and yeah, I actually one of your YouTube videos. If you don't know, John has his own YouTube channel, which I'll link down. One of your YouTube videos got recommended to me, and I saw the thumbnail. I was like, oh wait, I know that guy. And then I clicked on it, and I think it was like a day in the life of a Google engineer, like going back to the office.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was really good. Like I know you have like 5 or 6 videos, but it looks like you've been doing this for years. So I was very impressed.
Thanks.
Yeah. So anyways, do you want to just go ahead and give a little introduction about yourself?
Sure. So, hey everyone, my name is John. I'm a software engineer at Google based in the Bay Area. I currently work on the Android team, building the home screen UI of Android and the Google Pixel. I've been at Google for about almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years next month. And yeah, I've enjoyed it so far.
Okay. You weren't always are you at the Mountain View office, like the headquarters, right?
I am, yeah.
Okay. But you weren't always there, right? You were in New York for a while.
Yeah, I interned in New York, and then a couple months ago I was in New York while we could work from anywhere.
Uh-huh. Oh, but
Yeah.
when you started full time, you've always been at Mountain View?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So you mentioned that you work on like the UI of Android. So that's not like a specific app or anything, or like it's not like the SDK. Is it like a specific app, or is it like at the operating system level? Like how does that, like, could you kind of go more into that?
It's kind of a mix of both, because on Android, you can install different home screens. And so a lot of the work I do is open source. So we put that code out there and other launchers build on top of it. And then for Google Pixel, since our launcher on the Google Pixel is more integrated with the hardware, we do platform updates as well.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I've always used an iPhone. So if I'm asking something that seems obvious, I haven't used Android that much.
It's okay.
Yeah. So are you like what level engineer are you now?
Level 4. So you start off as level 3.
Okay. And how long did it take you to get to level 4?
I think it was like a year and a half to get to level 4.
Okay. So you got it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then how hard is it to get to like a level 6?
Level 6, I think it takes maybe, I've never been there, but
Oh, you don't know.
yeah.
Okay.
The ones that I know that are level 6 have been at Google for maybe like 5 or 6 years.
Which is like how long you've been there.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, I guess the people I know, they didn't start working at Google, so it's kind of like skewed.
It's probably easier if you're coming in from another company than if you're trying to get a promotion.
I have heard that. I think so level 6, it's more I guess just the scale of your projects are a lot bigger.
Okay,
So I just
interesting.
yeah, so like
So do you have to, is that something you apply for, or do they look at your work and be like, okay, you're like a level 5 now or level 6?
you mean when you apply to Google or
No,
through
if you're
the
working
promotion
there, like
process?
when you got to level 4, did you apply for that, or did someone just be like, okay, you're like, you've been doing good work, so here's a promotion?
Yeah, you have to apply for it.
Okay, cool. All right, interesting. So I guess what is like a typical work day for you? Like, what are your work hours? How much time do you spend coding versus going to meetings versus, I don't know, whatever you guys do?
Yeah, I guess from working from home, my hours are kind of lax, but it's generally 9 to 5, but it varies depending on like what I do in my mornings, of course. So sometimes I just like have leisurely mornings or like watch YouTube or something.
Oh yeah.
But but yeah, generally I like when I log on to work, I'll go through my chat and my email and then go through my calendar, see if I have any meetings. And then in terms of how long do I spend coding, I think it depends. If like everything's defined, I can code maybe like all day if I have no meetings.
Uh-huh.
Other times I could code like I don't code at all.
Yeah. No, that's very similar to my job as well. It kind of depends on the projects that we're working on as well. Because
Mhm.
sometimes we'll be in like the requirements phase, and then sometimes we'll be like actually building it out. So it seems like it's pretty similar for you too.
Yeah, exactly.
So another thing I have is another question I have is, I guess how big is your team, and do you feel like, because a lot of like some criticisms that I've heard about working at such a big company is that it's really hard for someone to make an impact because you're either like on a team that's working on like something very specific and then you're just one person on that team, or like I guess how impactful do you feel your work is?
I feel like mine is very impactful, but I don't want to be like bragging or something. But
No.
the work I do, I see it in reviews, like all the YouTube reviews of the latest Android features. I see it on people post on Reddit of like good things and bad things
Yeah.
if they don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, as long as it's constructive criticism. So, okay. Do you want to talk about like a few of your favorite things that you enjoy working at Google?
Yeah, so I guess pre-lockdown, I guess I really like the food. A lot of people say that, and a lot of people think it's overrated, but I feel like it's I feel like it's such a good perk, and I didn't really appreciate it until I started having to cook all my meals. Like it just takes so long to like wash dishes or like cooking in general takes so long.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I just ordered DoorDash.
Yeah,
But it
that's a
adds
good way
up.
to do it too. Yeah, I've like considered doing like HelloFresh or like those meal delivery kits where they just
Mhm.
send you all the ingredients, but I just feel like I can just buy it at the store.
Yeah, I've tried HelloFresh. Yeah, it's pretty good, but you still have to cook and do the dishes like you mentioned. So
Mhm. There's this new place, I guess they sell like Chipotle style. You tell them how many calories you want to eat, and then they just prepare your meals for you.
Mhm. So
So I thought that
how do
was
you
cool.
avoid like not just eating everything? Like, do you have to
I
have this a lot of discipline?
I think so because at first I gained a lot of weight when I first started working at Google, and honestly, like before lockdown happened, I would eat the same meal every day, which was a chicken salad, and then I just like wouldn't look at anything else because it's very easy to get carried away with all the food, especially the desserts.
Yeah, seems like there's some kind of like freshman 15 going on there.
Yeah.
Cool. So, all right, let's move on here. Say I'm someone who's kind of just graduated, or maybe I've been working for a couple years, and I want to work at Google. Kind of what advice would you have for someone trying to get a job?
My advice for someone trying to get a job at Google, I would say at least look at the job application because it very clearly defines the minimum qualifications you need. So like I get a lot of questions of like what degree should I study or um, what certification should I take? And like if you look at it, you actually don't need a degree at all. You just need, um, you just need equivalent practical experience. So working at startup or like teaching yourself or going to boot camp, those are all qualify. Um, the biggest hurdle I think to getting a job at Google is passing the interviews. And so I think that's where you can focus a lot of your time on learning how to solve any kind of coding problem. And then the best way to do that is through mock interviews, I feel like. Or it's a
Mhm.
combination of doing like leak code problems by yourself as well as doing mock interviews to actually simulate the interview experience. Because I think one of the things I fumbled on when I first started applying to jobs is not doing mock interviews, because I just had, when I would do the problems in my head, it just made sense. But actually trying to convey what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, it's like a whole different skill.
Oh yeah, it's a totally different animal coding live in front of someone versus just doing it on your own. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Is there any is there anything you can recommend for doing mock interviews?
I feel like all the sites that came afterwards. So I don't have any experience using any of them.
Okay, got it.
Have you done any of those apps?
Yeah, there's interview.io. That's a popular one. Um, and then the other one I use is Pramp. Um, Pramp is easy because you can pretty much get an interview, like a mock interview, whenever you want. But I'll be completely honest, the interviewers are not that great. Like it's just kind of like random people versus at interview.io, the quality of interviewers and the feedback was much better.
Do you have to pay for that too, or?
So when I was using it a couple years ago, I think it's changed. I think it was free and you can like do as many interviews as you want.
Mhm.
Now I think when I signed up, it was like you were on like a wait list and I don't even know if it's free anymore. So yeah, I'm not completely sure.
Mm.
Cool. So do you want to, I know it's probably been a while, but do you want to talk a little bit about your interview process?
Yeah, yeah, it's been a while. So I've been working at Google for almost 5 years, but my only interviews was probably like 8 years ago because I only interviewed as an intern. So my intern interviews was like 2 45-minute back-to-back phone interviews, and then I had one more interview separately to do it was like a separate process to convert.
To convert from intern to full time?
Yeah, no, so I didn't interview to convert to full time. They just used the feedback from my internship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like my experience is definitely not the normal process.
Mhm. So yeah, so if you're in college right now, definitely take advantage of those internships.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I feel like it's a great way to not only experience the company, but also um, internships are kind of like a really long interview.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so let's switch gears a little bit. Do you want to talk a little bit about the tech that you use?
Yeah, so because I code on Android, the language of the platform is Java. So that's the code I use. We do have Kotlin, but not be, so there's also another language called Kotlin, but because not everyone on the team knows it, we haven't really invested any time in updating our code base for it.
Do you guys use any cloud computing tools like Google Cloud?
Not for the Android development.
Okay, so it's all just um, so what do you guys actually use there?
Like, when you mean cloud, what do you mean?
I don't know. I'm just thinking like when I did an internship at Amazon, like a lot of the projects were built on top of other AWS tools. So I was just wondering if like any of your teams do that or like your team specifically.
Not really, because it's just like we're just doing
It's
Android
all local.
development.
Yeah,
Is
it's all
that,
local to
yeah.
the device, right?
Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Um, so what would you say like the pace is like on your team and kind of like do you like what the work life balance is like as well as like any maybe like this is kind of like a separate thing, but any like technical challenges you run into?
Work-life balance, I feel like it's pretty chill. And that's something I actually asked about when I was trying to figure out what team to join. So I wanted to know like how the workload is, if there's any on-call. that's one of the things I wanted to avoid being is like on call.
Yeah.
So I feel like our schedule is pretty chill, and because we're tied to the Android release cycle, we have like maybe like one major release a year. So we don't have any fires to put out, and it's very easy to like work 9 to 5 and be done.
Wow. How big is your team?
So my team, we've grown a lot in like the last maybe 2 years. We started off with five, and I feel like now we're like maybe 15. I don't know,
Oh, wow. That's okay.
just guessing.
It's a pretty big team. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm sure you probably haven't met a lot of them because you haven't been in the office.
yeah. Maybe three of them are I've never met at all.
Are you guys a pretty remote team or is everyone mostly in Mountain View?
Majority is in Mountain View. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so how often do you guys do like code reviews and look at each other's code?
Pretty often we can't submit it unless someone reviews it.
I see. So it's just like just need one other person to sign off on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question. Say you're working at Google, you're not really happy with the team that you're on, or just say you want to work on something different. How hard is that to make a switch?
So I haven't gone through the process myself, but I've heard it's like pretty straightforward. As long as like your manager approves, it's very easy to leave.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I heard too when I was interviewing at Google. They were like, well, they said that if you get hired, you have to stay with the team for a year and then you can switch as long as there's an opening. But as long as you
Yeah,
do
that's
that, it should be pretty easy.
yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So I know like the last year or so has been pretty crazy. And I know you kind of like touched upon this already, but what's your experience been like, during COVID, and how do you think Google's handled the work from home situation? Because I think Google was one of like the first big companies to go work from home. So just kind of wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, I remember they were saying we had voluntary work from home, and it was like super early in March, and I wanted to keep using the gym, so I kept going back to work. And then like maybe like a week or two later, we couldn't go in the office at all. I feel like it was a really big shift. Even though before COVID, I used to work from home every Friday, but switching to working from home every day was like so different, like such a different experience. I really struggled with trying to focus just because like being stuck inside all day and like everything that was going on at the time. But now I feel like I have a pretty good routine. So
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people were like that. Um, and I think like, I mean, it's been like what, a year and a half almost. So I feel like
mhm,
people have been kind of like forced to get used to it. But once you
yeah,
do get used to it, I think there are definitely a lot of benefits.
yeah. I feel I've heard or I've been seeing a lot in the news how like people are going to be quitting their jobs if they can't work remotely.
I've heard that as well. Yeah. So you told us like kind of what you need to get a job at Google, kind of your experience there. I kind of wanted to touch a little bit more on the actual like office itself because it seems like, well, we don't really know what's going to happen, but eventually things are going to open up. Kind of what are like the other perks that you enjoy about the actual campus itself? And do you find like anything, because there's a lot of stuff there, right? Like I've been on that campus, there's a lot of stuff that can distract you. So how do you avoid those distractions? And another question, I heard that they're also opening up another campus. Is that is that going to be happening soon?
um, I don't know if I could. I know there are. I don't know if I could say anything about it though.
Okay.
Um, so your first question, yeah. So the other perks of being on campus is we have an on-site gym. There's actually multiple gyms, and they range from like having basketball courts to volleyball courts to like full strength training gyms. There's a lot of fitness classes. So I actually did Muay Thai once. I did Jiu-Jitsu once, both times just once because I'm really bad at them. Um, let's see. There's a swimming pool. There's a massage. I feel like the massage perk is super underrated. Like no one I know goes to get a massage, but it's like it's right there.
Really?
It's
I'd
like
be doing that all the time.
yeah, people think it's like kind of weird, and like
Is
we
it like
get
a
like
full on massage? Is it like just a massage chair, or is it like a full on, like you just have a towel on and they're like,
yeah, it's the full on
okay.
situation.
Wow. Okay. Is so this is kind of like another thing. Is there any like negatives to using the perks all the time? Or
Um, yeah, I guess the only thing that's I think one of the I guess something that critics say, I
yeah.
don't know. So something that critics say is that Google has all these perks to keep you on campus so that you work all day. And I think that's true because, if you're spending all time with doing all this
Mhm.
stuff, is you obviously have to make up for it. But I feel like if you use it intentionally, it's just for your benefit. Like I would go to the gym regardless, but since it's on campus, I save a lot of time commuting to the gym and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like you said, your typical hours are 9 to 5. So as long as you stick to that, um, yeah, it seems like you could just, you know, take advantage of it as long as you just use everything in moderation and like when you need it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it.
So I don't know if we mentioned it already, but like I'm just wondering how the performance is measured at Google. Cause I mean, at certain jobs, you just get the job and you kind of just are kind of like in cruise control. And other jobs, they're super strict about performance. I was just wondering, like with Google and your team specifically, how is that? How do you actually measure like if someone's doing well or not?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like so at Google we have these things called OKRs. That's like objectives and key results. And so you say, I will do X based on, and I will measure it by Y or something. So that's like a good way of setting your goals and seeing whether or not you meet those goals. In general, we do have performance evaluations, I think twice a year. And so those are a good way to sync on like, how are you doing with your manager or how you're doing with your work. Um, it's a good way to sync with your manager on how your performance is. So you get pretty good feedback from, so you get pretty good feedback and you get it often on. So if you need to improve or anything.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that's pretty standard. But I'm sure you talk to or you check in with your manager more than once every 6 months.
Oh yeah, I have weekly one-on-ones. So it's not always going to be like career focused. It's sometimes just like I'm doing this today or this week.
Mhm. I see. And do you guys use Agile at work?
We we kind of do. It's like a form of agile. We don't do like stand-ups and stuff, but we do like iterate and stuff like that.
I see. Because usually, like with Agile, you have like 2 week iterations where you like, okay, this is going to be done in 2 weeks. And then at the end of your sprint, you deliver those goals. Is yours kind of similar to that?
Mm, not every 2 weeks. It's more like longer.
Okay.
Like so, yeah. When we divvy, so it's kind of tied to our release cycle too. So it depends.
I see. So, but you mentioned is your release cycle once a year?
We have like one major release once a year, yeah. But then something new that we've started doing is trying to release more often, like security updates and stuff.
I see. So, when do you guys usually release? Like the major
Um,
releases,
so we like do the announcements at IO and then we
right?
release like later on in the year.
Okay. And then once you release, do you like immediately come out with the requirements for the following year and like map that out? How does that work?
It's kind of staggered. So when we release, we've already started working on the next one, right?
Yeah. Okay. So you guys already map out like by this quarter, we're going to finish this. The next quarter, we're going to finish this other feature.
Yeah, so there's no like lull where we're like, oh, what are we doing? It's like we we've done it so many times that we know we have to like think ahead.
Mhm.
I guess does that make sense?
Yeah. Where do the requirements come from?
Um,
Like, I'm sure it's not you guys that like are like, oh, I'm going to add this feature. Like it has to come down from somewhere. Like, is it your
yeah,
manager? Is it like someone like on more like the business side of things?
Yeah, I think there's like a mix of like UX engineering PMs. They all get together with the execs and stuff and figure out what it's gonna look like.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this was super informative. Um, is there anything else you wanted to add or talk about?
Yeah, I think I'm good. If
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me. Um, John has his own YouTube channel. I'll definitely link that down in the description and comments. So you guys should definitely check out his channel. But yeah, thanks so much.
yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so that's the interview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I had a ton of fun. I learned a lot. And if you want to learn more about what it's like working at Google, make sure you check out John's channel. Oh yeah, also make sure you like this video that you're watching. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.